Off my nose.
Like hearing dogs for deaf people, guide dogs, for instance.
Like Chance.
Yes, yes.
And the same for cats. This is N.
Well, I think that cats is more like a stress-relieving thing for people, actually.
Good, but I can understand the thing with cats and dogs being helpful, but farmyard animals, you're not trying to tell me that they're stress relievers. Oh, look!
It's Piggy.
Priscilla, thank you, Liz.
Yeah, no, well, I think that the good thing about Priscilla is from a city farm, and the good thing about that is that people can actually work with these animals, which is actually quite relaxing, believe it or not. And also, kids from cities can come and see proper farm animals.
Oh, my children are like that. They haven't a clue what a real pig looks like.
Exactly.
Thank you, Truda. Liz, this is Chance, and Priscilla. And Truda will be seeing a little later on in our lottery draw challenge.
You will.
Thank you. Music now from a lady who has rocketed to fame in such an incredibly short time. With All That Matters, please give a warm welcome to Louise.
Dark of night, I'm wide awake, thinking about all the things we said in anger. Hey, hey, how you look when you slam the door, how I felt when you walked away, and I'll give everything I have if you stay, you stay. It hurts deeper than you know. I can't go on like this. Don't care who's wrong or right. Don't care too much for pride. The love between us, all that matters. Won't you come back to me? We'll work it out somehow. Oh, can't you see that? All that matters now. In the tears of so many years, thinking about all the time we spent. And I can't seem to stop the tears from falling, falling. If I could, I would turn back time. If I could, I'd release the pain. Only so much a heart can take a breaking, breaking. It hurts deeper than you know. I can't go on like this. Don't care who's wrong or right. Don't care too much for pride. The love between us, all that matters. Won't you come back to me? We'll work it out somehow. Oh, can't you see that? All that matters now. I miss the feeling of lying in your arms. I miss you more each moment that we're apart, Don't care who's wrong or right. Don't care too much for pride. The love between us is all that matters now. To me, we'll work it out somehow. All that matters now. Won't you come back? All that matters now.
Thank you, Louise. Now, beautiful movie stars, irresistible studs, sex, lust, fame, violence, oh, and a bit of terror too. No, it's not an average evening at the BBC, it's the latest blockbuster by my special guest tonight. She's sold 200 million books. Her latest is already #3 in America. Knows the tastiest tidbits, and now she's here in the flesh, so to speak. She is the high priestess of Hollywood glamour, and like her new novel, it's a thrill to welcome the incomparable Jackie Collins. This must be a big week for you, Oscar week, because all the gossip's happening
Well,
there.
it was. You know, I was at all the Oscar parties, all the best parties. It was so much fun, and I just flew in about 2 hours ago. So I came straight here, Carol, to tell you everything.
Well, tell me.
Well, you know, there was a lot going on. I think the most attractive guy there was Mel Gibson. Great-looking guy, great eyes. You ladies would love him. He's so attractive. He's got this fabulous sense of humor. And then there was at this party I was at, the Vanity Fair party, which was like the hot party, there was this one young model who kind of forgot that she didn't have on underwear. So she was like sitting on a chair going, "Hi, everybody," and it wasn't her arm she was doing hi with. So the guys are kind of like, you know, going, "Have you seen what's going on over there?" And then there was Kirk Douglas, who's just recovering from a stroke, and he was with Michael Douglas, who had on this great blue tuxedo. It was all happening. I mean, there were stars everywhere. Everywhere, it was like limo gridlock. So it was a lot of fun.
The outfits really seem to make headlines almost as much as those who win or don't win.
Yeah, I think that they do. Halle Berry was the most beautiful woman there. She looked staggering in a white Vera Wang gown, and it was kind of fun to see everybody. It was like the Super Bowl for movies. Everybody was out and about.
Stunning as well, though.
Well, thank you.
And the new book, Thrill?
Thrill is #3 on the English bestseller list. I was just told as I got off the plane, and I'm delighted.
The heroine is a lady, Lara Ivory.
Lara Ivory, a beautiful movie star who can't find a guy, and then she finds this guy, and we don't know whether he's good or bad.
Is she based on anybody in particular?
She's based on 3 actresses in Hollywood, and you'll have to play the guessing game, because I'm not telling.
Thank you very much for coming, ladies and gentlemen.
This is
Jackie
fun.
Collins.
Thank you.
We'll see you a bit later on as well. Now over to our very own little super stud, Alan Dedicoat.
Carol, it's huge. The estimated prize fund total for tonight is an estimated £13.2 million, which should give us a jackpot, something like £4.1 million. Clock the new outfit on John Willen. It's ready for Saturday. He's loading up, and checking out is Tracy Kitchen. Tonight's selections were made by Jim Cormack from Bromley in Kent, who randomly chose Lancelot as our draw machine, and to go with it, the set of balls, #3. Carol.
Thank you. Okay, it's time for our Wednesday Lottery Challenge. Tonight's draw challenge is the last. Just checking, tonight's draw challenge is the last in our current series, and it's also an all-girl affair. Please welcome the contestants, celebrity vet Truda Mosta, Jackie Collins, and this lady next to me, a lottery millionaire who last month became our 1,000th jackpot winner, Louise Hall. Welcome, Louise. How much did you win?
Just over £1 million.
£1 million. Have you spent it all?
No,
Have you spent any of it?
some of it.
On what kind of things?
A family holiday,
For how many people?
7.
And you're going to foot the bill for all 7 of your
Yeah.
family? Oh, this is the daughter you want to win the lottery, isn't it? Really, ladies and gentlemen. Give her a big round of applause. That's lovely. Okay, you get into position while I explain the rules. Before I go any further, this is Jerry Anderson. And see, when I said it was all girls, okay, I meant all girls apart from Jerry Anderson, who is known as the tight end of the England Monarchs. You stop laughing, Dedico. I can hear him laughing. Jerry is 6'5" and 19 stones, and his job for tonight, at least, is to stop our 3 contestants here from throwing pom-poms to the 3 leaders, cheerleaders. Okay. It's a tough job, Jerry. Do you think you can cope with that? Yeah.
I'm going to try.
Whoever hurls the most past Jerry gets to push tonight's button. Right, I'll get out the way, otherwise I'll get hit. Off you go. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
So we have our contestants, Louise, Jackie and Truda, throwing pom-poms, which are being caught by Amanda, Louise and Jasmine. And the big guy in the middle trying to stop the pom-poms getting through is 33-year-old Jerry Anderson, beefy to his friends. And don't forget, you'll see our cheerleaders in action when the England Monarchs season kicks off on Sunday the 5th of April at the National Sports Centre Crystal Palace in London. He's doing well, though. Come on, give him a tough time. Jackie's doing well as well. Excellent stuff. Come on, keep throwing them. Here we go. Just seconds now.
A little sweat worked up there, Jerry. A little sweat. It's tough. So, how many pom-poms here? 12. 7. 9. That makes Jackie Collins our winner tonight. Jackie, would you like to go forward and press that button.
4 minutes to 9 it is on Wednesday the 25th of March, live on the BBC. It's the National Lottery Draw. Let's release those midweek balls! Congratulations to the double glazing syndicate from St Helens, who won £138,000 on Saturday. Another syndicate from the same firm won a similar amount 5 weeks earlier. Can you believe that? Jackie Collins, would you now please start our draw? £4.1 million in tonight's jackpot. First out, number 25. That was here last Wednesday too, drawn thrice. Last month too, 46,000, a joint second most drawn number. Next is number 10. That's been bonus 3 times this year already. 30 appearances in all now. Next. That's a 6. Last drawn 3 Wednesdays ago, 27th time now as a main ball in the lottery. Fourth to be drawn tonight is 31. Part of the winning lottery lineup last Wednesday. 42 appearances in all for that one. And the 5th is number 1. Last Wednesday night's bonus, back tonight. 28th time now as a main lottery ball. And the 6th one. 45. Been busy of late, very much a front runner. Main ball 37 times now. And the bonus. 8. This time in ascending order. 1, 6, 10, 25, 31, and 45. The midweek bonus, number 8.
I give to all my guests, cats, pigs, dogs, a lot. Jerry Anderson and the Crown Jewels, Louise Strudemoster, and of course Jackie Collins. Don't forget the National Lottery Big Ticket at 7:05 on Saturday, and I'll see you next week at the new time of 8:30. Good night.
Did you know there's only 3 more days to go?
For the National Lottery
Big Ticket.
This Saturday, Samantha Jenner, Stephen Horton, Nick Gillingham and Patsy Palmer pull out the stops as they champion the lottery card winners with everything to play for in the National Lottery Big Ticket. Saturday at 7:05 on BBC One.
Be there.
3 can keep a secret.
How much is the story about a bent copper worth?
If 2 are dead.
Thing is, Wildy, someone's out to cause trouble.
So we're looking for some old Nazi, eh? Maybe Martin Bowman shacked up in the Dales.
And buried.
Either you're a fraud or a sadist with a heart of stone.
We're at war, Superintendent, with the forces of evil.
A case of child's play for Dalziel and Pascoe. Saturday at 9 o'clock on BBC One.
Right little wise monkey, aren't you?
They're giving it away on BBC Two in a moment. For the seriously rich of New York, the odd million is a small price to pay to have something named after them. Modern times. On BBC One in half an hour, Football Mania and the local force prepares for the hooligans. Comic police work in the Thin Blue Line. The 9 o'clock news now on BBC One with Michael Burke.
2 children aged 11 and 13 are to be charged with multiple murder after the school shootings in Arkansas. One's reported to have said he had a lot of killing to do. A fortnight to find a settlement for Northern Ireland. The talks chairman set the deadline and called for non-stop negotiation. And learning to be a prince as Canada goes wild over William. Good evening. 2 children aged 13 and 11 are to appear before a judge in Arkansas charged with murdering 4 schoolmates and their teacher and badly injuring 6 others. They're said to have used several guns in a carefully planned ambush. The older boy had apparently been jilted by his 11-year-old girlfriend and had said he had a lot of killing to do. Flags were flying at half-mast at the school in Jonesboro where the shootings happened. The two boys are cousins, named as 13-year-old Mitchell Johnson and 11-year-old Andrew Golden. Philippa Thomas is in Jonesboro.
Everyday life for the children and parents of Jonesboro has been suspended. The school buses are empty, the school day was cancelled. This southern farming community is trying to overcome the shock of Tuesday's events. The shooting was ruthless. 13 children and 2 teachers were hit when their attackers emerged from the trees in full camouflage gear. They had 9 weapons with them, high-powered rifles and pistols. Classmates remembered the older boy threatening them earlier in the week.
He told me that he was going to kill somebody the day before yesterday at lunch. And I didn't believe him. I thought he was joking because he likes to talk about guns a lot. And then when I came outside, the guns went off. I thought it was construction workers blowing up rocks.
For the survivors and bereaved, there was anguish and disbelief that this armed rampage could have taken place in their quiet corner of Arkansas.
When something like this happens, some days you wake up and your life is the same, and the next day you wake up and it's changed forever.
This is very devastating. We have cried and cried, and I don't even know these people.
We all share the grief of the loss of our students and teacher. My heart goes out to the families of these students and teachers who were victims of this devastating tragedy. Please pray for us.
As for the formal response, late in the evening, the community held a vigil to remember their dead. A day later, the sheriff's office spoke about its struggle to bring the killers to justice, perhaps trying them not as juveniles, but as adults.
We're reviewing all options that are available. We know what our options are available to us under the juvenile code, and we're trying to determine if there are other options that might be available, possibly in federal court.
The future of the 2 suspects held here at the county jail will depend on whether they're treated as delinquent adolescents or as young men who committed mass murder in cold blood and should be tried accordingly. Philippa Thomas, BBC News in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
The shootings have focused America's attention yet again on gun control. The rules on firearms vary from state to state, but in Arkansas it's legal for minors to keep shotguns and rifles, although they're not supposed to own handguns. President Clinton has called for an investigation into violence in schools, but the governor of Arkansas has blamed the killings on a national culture of violence, fueled by television and films. Bill Turnbull reports from Washington.
Guns are used to murder more than 10,000 people in America every year. The addition of 5 more victims in Arkansas has created shock and revulsion across the country. But politically, there's little appetite to do anything about it. It's happened 3 times now in 6 months. Students on the rampage in a small-town school. First in Mississippi, where 9 were shot and 2 died. Weeks later in Kentucky, a 14-year-old gunman fired on a prayer group, killing 3. And now Jonesboro. On tour in Africa, President Clinton hinted at a fresh White House initiative.
I'm going to ask the Attorney General to find whatever experts there are in our country on this and try to analyze this terrible tragedy to see whether there are any common elements in this incident and the other 2.
As America asks why, the discussion has focused on issues such as violence in films and parental control, and government officials have produced a string of possible remedies.
It's coupling strong policies, zero-tolerance policies, and policies for fighting and bullying in school with policies and ensuring that schools have good programs, conflict resolution, peer mediation.
2 crucial words are missing here: gun control. Even in a country where on average 14 children are shot dead every day, there is no public debate of any substance on whether handguns should be banned. The National Rifle Association spends tens of millions of pounds every year ensuring that such issues never get near Congress, while handgun opponents with 1/10 of the resources nip at the fringes, changing America's gun laws step by step.
At least 70% of the American public supports responsible gun control laws. Now it's just a matter of letting the people in Washington and the people in the state legislatures hear their voices and respond to their voices, and that's our mission here.
Recently, Congress has been tweaking its firearms legislation, getting child-proof locks put on handguns and tightening loopholes in a ban on assault weapons. But the chances of any real change are virtually non-existent, even after the carnage at Jonesboro. Bill Turnbull, BBC News, Washington.
Here, the chairman of the multi-party talks on Northern Ireland has said the time for discussion is over and decisions must now be made. The former American Senator George Mitchell has set a deadline of April the 9th for a settlement to be reached, telling the parties at Stormont that apart from time off for eating and sleeping, they must remain in session until a deal is concluded.
The lights will burn late in the talk centre at Stormont, the whole focus of the negotiations sharpened and shifted by the independent chairman. He's laid it on the line for the parties. It's decision time.
We've been at this for 2 years. It could be discussed for another 2 years or for another 20 years. It isn't that there hasn't been enough time for discussion. It is that there has not been a decision required. And the only way to bring this to a conclusion is to require a decision. Actually, a series of decisions. And I believe that the time for that is now.
5 days of talks next week and continuous negotiations the week after. Failure, said George Mitchell, was unacceptable, and those who want to direct the process would not be allowed to prevail. The Republicans, who launched a mortar attack on a police station at Forkhill in County Armagh, are seen by the talks participants as wreckers. Only one bomb exploded, but the lives not just of police and soldiers, but those living nearby, placed at hideous risk. The RUC's assessment that the IRA was not involved. Dissidents and ex-members almost certainly were.
People have been subjected to the gravest risk. I think it's absolutely reckless. I've said already that it is our belief at this stage that the provisional IRA were not involved. We believe other Republican groupings were involved in carrying out last night's attack.
The next 15 days will make or break this process. George Mitchell's convinced there will be agreement. The parties will get to eat and sleep, but the independent chair team have made it clear. The 9th of April is the date. Till then, the parties will have intensive working days, days that will be as long as it takes to get the job done. Dennis Murray, BBC News, Stormont.
The rail regulator is to investigate plans by Railtrack to spend £17 billion over the next 10 years on maintaining and improving the rail network. John Swift says he's not convinced the company will keep its promises. Rail unions and passengers are also sceptical about the spending plans.
The regulator's not persuaded by Railtrack's promise to spend billions of pounds on maintaining and improving the network over the next decade. The small print in the company's plan reveals there's no guarantee that any of the projects will go ahead. The regulator wants firm commitments.
Planning is one thing, delivery is something else. Passengers all over the network are now saying, why can't we have the improvements that privatisation is supposed to bring?
This derailment in South London's one of several which led the Health and Safety Executive to warn Railtrack this month about persistent poor condition of track. The company is planning to renew 150 miles of line a year, but at that rate it would take more than a century to renew the network. One rail union's now warning drivers to slow down where black spots have been reported.
But we're taking safety into our own hands and issuing notices to our drivers, indicating to them where the black spots are and to exercise great caution when they're in that vicinity.
Railtrack's latest plan slightly enlarges a £16 billion investment programme promised last year to bring passengers faster, more frequent trains.
Speed restrictions are a problem. Clearly, the distance between trains and regularities are something that we need to spend much more time on, and clearly people do expect a reliable and punctual railway, and that's something we're absolutely dedicated to. After safety, performance is the most important thing.
Tonight, the government ordered an immediate review of Railtrack's role in both setting and enforcing safety standards. The company is promising to spend billions, and ministers, unions and the regulator want that promise delivered. Simon Montague, BBC News.
A jury has returned a verdict of unlawful killing in the case of a prisoner who died in a privately operated jail in the Midlands. The hearing at Kidderminster held that Alton Manning had died after being restrained by staff at Blakenhurst prison.
It was the verdict Alton Manning's family had long been waiting for. They say the truth about how he died has finally been established.
Well, obviously the family are overjoyed at the verdict. We're glad to see that the jury was sensible and had the common sense to reach the verdict that they had.
It's more than 2 years since Alton Manning died from asphyxia while being restrained by prison officers. He was on remand at the privately run Blakenhurst prison at the time. A routine strip search turned into a violent struggle. He stopped breathing minutes later as he was being taken to the segregation unit. At this Home Office training centre, prison officers are taught the correct way to control and restrain an inmate. The prisoner here was held by 3 officers. 8 officers were involved in the restraint of Alton Manning. Several inmates told the court they saw him being held in a neck hold, a move which doesn't form part of any authorised prison officer training. All of the prison officers denied putting any pressure on Alton Manning's neck, but the jury didn't believe them, returning a verdict of unlawful killing. They found that a dangerous and unnecessary amount of force was used. Campaigners say lessons over previous deaths in prison custody haven't been learned and are demanding a government inquiry.
This inquest revealed appalling training in control and restraint across the board, and it is quite clear that paper policies have not been translated into practice.
7 of the officers employed by UK detention